Hey guys, welcome to this episode of the Unemployables podcast. Today, me, Dan, and Jeff are sitting down with our good friend Tanei, the science guy, also known as Uncle TJ, and he's going to talk a little bit about chemistry, about how he turned into a full-time shit poster online and making a killing teaching people how to regrow their hair. So stay tuned.
Become unemployable.
All right, guys, welcome to this episode of the Unemployables podcast. We're sitting down with Uncle Tanei and to talk about how he was a professor. Now he makes most of his or all of your money through Twitter. Most of all of it. Somewhere in that range.
You know what? I need to rebrand myself because this Uncle TJ shit just got people thinking that I'm way older than what I actually am. I'm not. It's like mostly like some of y'all are probably older than me. And I know for a fact there are people that are on social media that follow me that call me uncle, and I know that they're older than me.
How old are you?
I'm 33. I just turned 33 this year.
That's not that old, man.
It's definitely not old enough for somebody to be calling me uncle. But
I'm actually 21, so you're old. I'm just kidding.
I'm 19.
Yeah, Jeff. You got 8 kids. Ain't no way in hell you 21. There's no way you 21.
Nine kids.
Oh, sorry, I forgot one.
He popped one out since you followed him.
You just left out the girl because.
Oh man, but yes, as I said, I am Tanei Riggs. I have a PhD in chemistry from the University of Tennessee, Knoxville. I used to be a professor of chemistry, and now I am a full-time online shit poster making money online. So that's where we at.
It's a hell of a job title.
It's the American dream
I know,
right
isn't
there.
that great? I know. That it's so crazy. The internet lets you do and be whatever you want to now. I mean, I don't know why people don't take advantage of that.
Yeah, that's crazy. How did you, why did you decide to originally pursue a PhD?
Because I wanted money. I mean, so that's the short answer. The long answer is, when I was in high school, I took chemistry. Sweet older lady. Name was Terry Kennedy. She had glass eye, and for some reason, the way she taught just made me really like chemistry. And the thing about it was, I noticed that while I was cool with it, whenever we had like quizzes and tests and stuff like that, I would always do well on there. And I didn't study that much, but I would always notice that my classmates were struggling. And so I'm like, well, maybe I'm actually kind of good at this. So I actually decided to go to undergrad and finish my degree. When I redeclared, I instantly declared for chemistry. I was like, I'm doing chemistry. Like, I know what I want to do. I'm good. So I did that. And probably through my junior year, I was talking to my advisor, and she was like, well, you have 2 options at this point, for what you want to do. You can either, minor in communications, and then you can, go be a forensic scientist, because I was really interested in forensic science at the time. Like, you do that, go work for GBI and kind of go that way, be a lab tech for a little bit. Or you can go to grad school. While you're in grad school, they pay for you to do research for them, and you come out with a PhD. And so I'm like, okay, well, how much do you get paid? And so they're like, you get paid about the same much as lab tech. And so I'm like, well, I'm going to just go be like the paid lab tech that gets an extra degree. That sounds a lot better to me than just being a lab tech, because at that time I'm sitting there thinking about, student debt. And I was one of the lucky ones that, I was working most of the time throughout college. So I didn't come out of school with a lot of debt. Like, people are coming out like 40, 50K. Mine's a fraction of that. So I was really happy for that. So I was like, I'm going to defer these loans for a couple more years. Let me go ahead and go to grad school right quick. So I ended up going to University of Tennessee in August of 2012. They offered me a scholarship to go. Stayed there for 5 years. I did so the thing is that when you have most PhD programs actually last 7 years. So because of the way that UT brings everybody in the chemistry program, I actually finished earlier. And I'm an organic chemist. So organic chemists generally finish a little bit later than everybody else does because our work is harder. On average, physical chemists, analytical chemists, and inorganic chemists, they get out in about 4.5 years. I got out in 5. So that's really actually kind of normal. Most times you see people in PhD programs for like 7-8 years. So they do a good job of trying to like cut the time off because, you know, a lot of people, you have to have a master's before you go get a PhD. I didn't have to. So I went straight from undergrad to get my PhD. So I don't have a master's. So did that. And it's kind of how I got to where I am now. When I graduated, I didn't have a job. I moved to Atlanta with my girlfriend. At the time, we had already planned to move to Atlanta. Both of us were from Georgia. We both met in Augusta. And, you know, so I move in down with her. You know, shit starts getting rocky. We end up splitting in that year. I end up moving back in my parents' house. And I'm like what happened? Like, what?
PhD and I live with my mom.
Exactly. Like how does this happen? Like where did this come from? So I ended up moving back in with my parents, and I was actually working. I had gotten a position working as an adjunct chemistry professor at Clayton State. It's one of the small schools here in Atlanta. And so I was driving back and forth from my parents' house 3 days a week, you know, teaching. That's about 3 hours round trip. So that was a lot of time for me to kind of figure things out and be like, all right, where do we go from here? You know, just kind of trying to figure stuff out. And so I did that for a little bit, but during that time, I started trying to grow my social media presence a lot. Ended up working, and, you know, so now I have a moderately huge following, and I started trying to monetize it. And during that time, I was still building more skills, doing more copywriting, doing more marketing, email marketing, stuff like that. So now I kind of have that skill set up under my belt. So now I am a chemist that knows how to write very well, and I can actually convey science in a way that people can understand it. And I think that's really how my following grew so much, was just putting science into everyday terms. And that's all I ever really wanted to do, was be able to help people understand chemistry and understand the world around them in a way that is practical, not just in a way it's like, oh, look how many big words I can say. It's like, no, these big words don't mean shit if you can't read them. You know, these people can't take the information to actually apply it to their lives and do something practical with it. Then, like, what's the point? You know, it's not. I never wanted to be one of those chemists that has, you know, 40 billion citations and different, you know, scientific publications, but whenever somebody asks you about their research, like, they can't tell you what it is heads or tails. You know, that's not helpful. Yeah. That's not really pushing science or people anywhere. So that's really how I got into it. And, you know, like I said, the main motivation at first was money, but then it just became something deeper where I just wanted to help people, and I really wanted to help people understand science and understand it in a way that it could be practical and can be helpful for their lives, so that they can enrich their lives and the lives of people around them. So I think that's why I've been experiencing a lot of the success that I have now, because everything's just come from a genuine place of wanting to help people and wanting to see people use this information practically and help them live the lives that they want to live.
Definitely.
That's great.
That's awesome.
I've seen that with your brand on your Twitter. It's like, a lot of people try to start personal brands and don't have the experience to back it up, right? They just like are yelling into the void almost, right? And like, you come in and you're one of those guys that, like, you've done a lot with your life, right? Like, you've got the PhD, you know all kinds of shit that most people have no clue. And so you can bring that knowledge to everybody. And I think that's a significant portion of why your brand has grown so well, so quickly, and like actually is very stable. You know what I mean? You're not bullshitting people.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm very transparent. You know, it's not hard to find me. You know, I struggle with things, and, you know, I think the thing that I've realized a lot within the past, you know, probably 6 or 7 months or so, is that a lot of people's brands struggle because they don't have those authentic stories. They don't have those authentic scars. I have all that stuff, and like, and that's not to say that that's something that I wanted. It's just something that I worked through. And when those obstacles came up, it's like, okay, how am I going to work through this? And it's like, you know, I still struggle with things to this day. I mean, and I'm very upfront about the things I struggle with. But I still make a concerted effort every day to just show up and be like, hey, life can be good. Even if you're failing at this one particular thing, life can be good in other areas until this area catches up. So that's really what, when I talk to people, that's what I want them to know, that you don't have to be perfect to be good enough. Like, you don't have to be perfect in every single facet of your life in order to feel worthy, in order to feel good enough about yourself to make a positive contribution. Because a lot of people, because of the image that they put out, everybody thinks that you have to be, super put together in order to be well liked by people, or in order to get attention from people. It's like, no, you just have to give a damn about somebody else that's around you. Like, you don't have to be the best looking, or the most motivated, or have the most money. You just have to care about other people and what they're going through. You have to care about the things that are going on in their life, and how you can help them, or how you can enrich their life. And that's really what I focus on. Is that, do I have something that you need that can help you get better? If I have that and I can give it to you, I'm going to give it to you. Like, that's really where I am. And a lot of people don't operate from that. They operate from a axis of, oh, well, this person has something I want. How can I take it from them? Where it's like, okay, you can think about it like that, but your brain's gonna crash and burn eventually, because it's just gonna be this inauthentic show of things that you've heard 10 billion times. I think that's why people shit on platitudes now, because they've heard them so many times that it's like, ugh, like, why do I have to keep hearing this from like 10 different people? And it seems super inauthentic, because you've heard the same 10, 15 words like scrambled and jumbled up in different ways. It's like the line from Forrest Gump where Bubba's talking about how many different ways his mom can cook shrimp.
Fried shrimp, boiled shrimp, lemon pepper shrimp,
Shrimp and potatoes, shrimp and chicken, shrimp and biscuits.
Mambo.
And after a while, people are just tired of fucking shrimp. Like, nobody wants to hear about shrimp anymore. Like, even though shrimp might be good for you, like, nobody wants to hear about it anymore. And so, like, when you get in a space where you have, this, like, you have a genuine desire to like help people, you never run out of material, and you never run out of things that are relevant, and things are always going to sound new and fresh, because that's what you're bringing to the table. Like, you're genuinely trying to find those solutions for people, and that will eventually shine through, and you'll separate yourself from everybody else that way.
Yeah.
All right, back after my internet mishap. My bad, y'all. When my internet was screwing up, I think what I'd asked was, while you were working on your PhD, did you want to go into teaching, or did you want to go into like research and hands-on kind of chemistry, product development type stuff? Like, what did you want to do, and how did you end up where you did?
So when I first went into grad school, I did want to teach. I did want to be in academia, and I knew, probably after I did after I got admitted to candidacy officially, I said to myself, I'm like, okay, I think that I really want to teach after this. I'm so good at it. I mean, this isn't, from me. This is other people that observe me talking to other people. They're like, you're a really good teacher. Like, you have a really good way of breaking things down so that people can understand it. You should really think about becoming a professor. And in my mind, I was like, ugh, I gotta be in class with people like me? Like, what? No, I don't want that. Like, no, I'm good. But the more I started thinking about it, and the more I started interacting with other students and interacting with other undergrads at that point, I was like, oh, maybe this is what I'm meant to do. So I'm like, all right, let's do this.
Mm-hmm.
But what I found out was that academia is really cutthroat, and it's an environment of ass kissing and I mean, I don't want to go super hard on it, but I mean, it's not the environment that I want to be in. I don't want people to give me tenure based on whether or not they like me. I want them to give me tenure based on the fact I can do my job. And
Right.
I found out that is not the way that academia works. Academia, like a lot of other things in life, work on how much people like you. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm never going to be the kind of person that is universally liked by everybody. And I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be that person that's giving these fake smiles and, shaking hands and kissing babies all day. It's like, no, sometimes I want to sit on my couch and play video games all day. Like, I don't want to deal with this shit. Like, I don't want to sit here and pretend that I like you people, because some of y'all I don't. So when I figured that out, I was like, okay, maybe this is not for me. Like, maybe teaching in an academic sense is not for me, but maybe I can find a lane where I can still teach people and I can still feel good about it. And that was really where the motivation for growing my Twitter account came from, because it's like, I can really teach people from my Twitter account, and I don't have to worry about any oversight, any overhead. I can say what I want to, and nobody's gonna bother me about it. Like, this feels like the best thing for me to be doing. And then that led into the new website that I created, hackorganicchemistry.com, that is built for pre-professional school students to pass organic chemistry. That was when I really was like, okay, I don't have to be in academia. Matter of fact, I'm doing academia a favor working for them. So if I recognize that I have all these gifts and I have all this to offer from other people independently, it's making them look better for me to go work for them. So I can just keep doing what I'm doing to be happy. I'm cool with this. I'm good with this. And the thing that I miss the most about grad school is the research aspect. And that was when I was thinking to myself, like, okay, well, maybe, I do get back into chemistry in a traditional sense, just trying to get back into a research lab, because I miss creating. I miss being able to create, a new compound that nobody's ever heard of, that nobody's ever seen. It looks like, the white powder that I had last week. I just made another white powder that looks like this white powder, that looks like this white powder. But when I go look at it, under a microscope, or I'll use a spectrometer to look at it, and it gives me something completely different that hasn't been seen before, that's cool. Making yeast glow in the dark, that's cool. That's something that the average person can't do, So being able to have those experiences and create something new that may have some kind of therapeutic value for someone else, or just some kind of intelligent value to push a conversation forward. Those are the things that I miss about science. Like the brown nosing, I'm good. I can do without all that. But actually,
well, that being said, I want you to run for the Secretary of Education, because if you're going to do academia a favor, you need to do all of academia a favor.
Listen, Betsy Bebo's got that on lock.
And we need teachers to be able to ask their students, what the hell is wrong with you? Because a lot of people actually need to get asked that question without getting fired, and you're the person to allow that.
For sure, because I feel like a lot of people have tenure that don't deserve it. But, that's a conversation for a different day. It is what it is. But yeah, that's really how I feel about it. And I really feel like there's a lot that can be learned from academia and just how the world works in general. And that was really kind of my big wake up call. And things really aren't different. Whatever sphere you go into where you have a lot of egos competing with each other, the dynamics are going to break down the same. It doesn't change whether you have a 90 IQ or 150 IQ. I know how people on this side of Twitter love IQ so much. So it doesn't really matter how high or how low your IQ is. You're still going to have those social dynamics where people are still competing for favor with each other. Like, that just breaks down to all parts of society.
Definitely. So I want to take it a step back here. Did you mention glow in the dark yeast?
Yeah.
I knew you were going to say something about that.
I want to talk more
It's
about
not
that.
that kind of yeast, Nick.
So, no.
Not that kind, bro.
The good kind. So can you make like a loaf of bread that glows in the dark?
It depends. So
this is why we need to get you back into research.
I mean, I'm sure.
We are asking the important questions.
I'm sure there's a way to do it. I mean, because the fermentation process, I'm sure there's a way to do it where you could have, you can engineer some of the starch molecules in there to have photo tags on them. or to have fluorescent tags on them, and you shine a light on them, and then certain parts of it glow up. I'm sure there's a way to do that. I just wouldn't put any time into doing it. But I ain't gonna say it's not possible. It probably is possible. I just doubt that anybody would spend any kind of research money on doing it. So,
well Nick is just looking at a way to market eating sandwiches in the dark.
Among other things. I need to have a list of like pet projects for when everything comes together and I have money to spend.
Okay.
And I think glow in the dark bread is right up there with glow in the dark.
Okay, yeah, man. Shoot, man. You slime by 30 racks. I can do that for you.
All right. Keep that in mind. So before we went live.
So ridiculous. Glow in the dark bread.
This is going to be a great episode.
So before we went live, you mentioned that a lot of times on podcasts you wind up talking about stuff you used to do, and you really want to talk about what's going on now. So let's dig into that a little bit. What's going on now that's really exciting you?
Oh man, so I have this hair regimen thing that just kind of blew up out of nowhere.
Dude, I saw that. That's some of those results are nuts.
Yo, okay, so it's wild because it's like, oh man, like how did this happen? You know, so all right, so my regular consultant fee is $150 an hour. So I was on Twitter one day, I don't remember what I was doing, but like I get a ton of DMs, and like I mean, if you're listening and I have not responded to your DM, I promise it's not because I'm ignoring you, all right? But I have a ton of unread DMs. And one day I was going through them. I try to get through them like within a week's time. And one of my followers, he was like, "Hey, you know, I really need help like regrowing my hair. I'll pay you your consultant fee. Like, I don't care. I just need help doing this." I'm like, "All right, cool, whatever." So I messaged him back and I'm like, "Give me, you know, like 2-3 days. Let me do some research and I'll get back to you." So I go look up a couple papers. And I, you know, just research it and really just try to understand it, because it's like, you know, I got a head full of hair. Like, I don't know shit about losing hair. Like, so I'm just like, I mean, I actually have to go research this. So I go look it up and I start finding some commonalities. You know, people are always talking about DHT. And so the more I started reading about it, I was like, man, DHT is a symptom. It's not an actual cause. Like, these DHT levels are fluctuating because of something else. Like, this is not a root cause of it. So it just caused me to keep looking further. When I started looking further, I was like, oh, okay, it's the things that people don't want to treat. All right, so this is why people's hair falls. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I put together, you know, a couple of things I read, a couple of papers I read, and just other things I know that I use for my own hair. And then I was like, here, you know, these are the things I want you to do. If you need any help with anything, just like let me know. But just follow this, and I'll check back with you in like a month. So 4 weeks pass, and there's like visible new growth in his hairline. And even when he showed me the picture, I was like, what the fuck is this?
You like, accidentally cured male pattern baldness.
I'm like, what is this? Like, how did
he's like, I was just bullshitting and this happened.
Like, it wasn't that. It wasn't like that. It was close though. It was really close. It was just like, all right, I don't know if this is gonna work or not, but I mean, here, try it, see what happens. And it just took off. And then like another 4 weeks came, and then like his hairline was completely back. Like it was completely back from the dead. Like I'm talking like Michael Jackson stand up dancing and Thriller back from the dead. And I'm just like, yo, I have something here.
Tupac at the Grammys and Coachella.
Yes, like hologram everything. Like we're back in business. So I'm like, all right, maybe I should keep going with this. Like maybe I should like push on this some more. So I'm like, okay. I start showing pictures on social media. My DMs start blowing up, and so I'm like, all right, I should probably keep going with this. And this is around the time that I started Hack Organic Chemistry, and so I'm like, I actually need to find a way to get some more money because I need to test ads. Like I need to test ads for some of the products I have on my website so I can actually start driving traffic. So I'm like, okay, this is the perfect stopgap between here and there to when that site takes off. But what I saw was that this was such a huge problem for people that like people were just like, look, I don't care, just give me this. Like here, take my money. I'm like, okay, so I'm actually in a market that has a very painful problem, and I've somehow managed to solve it for him. Like, okay, great, let's keep going. So I had a couple people reach out to me, like, no, you need to make a landing page, you need to do this, you need to do that, blah, blah, blah. All right, cool. So I started doing that, and it's just taken off. Like, day by day, I get at least one sale on it, and it's like really opened up a lot of opportunities for me to pursue other stuff I want to do, because I haven't been employed officially on the books since February of this year. I was doing email marketing at a startup company out here in Roswell, and I got laid off from that job. And when I got laid off from that job, I was like, you know what, man? Like, clearly this is like this 9 to 5. This is just not for me. I'm getting too many signs daily that this is just not what I'm supposed to be doing right now. So let me go ahead and figure out how I'm going to take care of myself using the internet. So that was when I started pushing on Hacker Organic Chemistry to get that launched. I got that launched within a month. Then when that happened, you know, I was still selling stuff on my email list, and I was barely staying afloat. But then the hair thing got big, and then like it just really took off. And so now I'm like, okay, I could conceivably make 6 figures by pressing buttons on my smartphone this year. This is exciting. Like this is what Steve Jobs envisioned for the iPhones, that people would be financially free from the palm of their hand. Like this is what it's supposed to be. So when that happened, it's just really, I already know a lot about, you know, like marketing, copywriting, email copy, and all that stuff. So it really didn't take much for me to kind of come up with some things and go, all right, this is how I can market it. You know, these things I need to show, blah, 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 and really not needing any help to do it. So I learned a lot of valuable skills behind, especially sales, especially, you know, following up with people and, you know, referrals and, you know, leveraging your networks. And like, it's been a really good experience. And, you know, things are still going really well right now. I still have people that are messaging me about it daily. I still got people that are sending me results photos daily. I really feel like this is just something I stumbled upon, and I'm actually looking at making a product now. I have a couple of different oils that I want to test. I'm going to test them on myself first, then we're going to get a couple other people that have like really, really bad baldness to test them, and then just go from there and see if I actually did find something that was good. So
it's a legit problem, man.
No, it is. It is. And I really didn't know it was, but you know, and a lot of people are looking to more natural solutions because, you know, especially with finasteride. Finasteride is poison. Like, I don't understand why finasteride is even, you know, put out there for use by the general society. I was doing research on finasteride, and they use it in transgender hormone therapy. And I'm like, wait a minute. So y'all are giving people this drug for hair loss that transgender women take to lower their testosterone levels? Like, what? Like, what clown world are we living in where this is right? You know,
so like, is that in like common mainstream product, like hair products?
Yes. So the two biggest products for hair growth right now are minoxidil, which people know as Rogaine, and then finasteride, which people know as Propecia. So those are the two biggest things that people are using right now for hair growth. I mean, some people don't experience those side effects. Some people, I just was talking to somebody yesterday. They were like, I have post-finasteride syndrome where he's got erectile dysfunction now. And it's like, so you're taking these drugs that are supposed to help you solve one problem, and then you end up getting a worse problem behind it. Like, that's
why would you want to trade
here, but none down there?
Right. Right.
You're trading your junk for your hairline.
Like, that's
thunder and lightning, baby.
Yeah. And I greatly appreciate you trying to solve the hair loss problem here in America and in the world, because I sell hair products. So if you do well, I'm going to do well. And if you try some of those oils out and you're on your face and you end up looking like this overnight, I'll send you free stuff as long as you start throwing some affiliate links for Rugged Legacy.
I got you, man. I got you.
So what are you not very good at?
Say again.
What are you not good at? Like,
oh man,
in terms of like, what's the first thing that you would outsource?
Woo!
So you're good at chemistry, or
so I am horribly inconsistent, and that is something that I'm really trying to work on, and I have accountability partners for. But man,
where's that hurt you the most?
Oh, it hurts me a lot.
Right in here.
Business goals.
Right in here.
Making the money I want to make. Because it's like, oh, I made $1,000 there. And I just quit for like 2 or 3 days. It's like, no, I have to
like
save
triple down.
Right. It's like I got to save intensity all the time. So it's like, it is something that even when my business partner Steven Story, some of y'all might follow him on Twitter. We were talking, he was over here one day and we were talking, he was like, I noticed that when things start going good for you, you start quitting. And I'm just like, oh, you're right. You're right. And I'm trying to figure out a way to like practically break out of it. But I think a lot of it stems from grad school. I'm very much a workaholic when I get locked into something. And when I was in grad school, I would routinely, work 12, 14-hour days. Sometimes I'd be there overnight. Like I posted several pictures on my Twitter page from, where I was there for, 20, 22 hours out of the day. I'd leave, go home and take a nap for like 2 or 3 hours and then come back because that was just like the nature of some of the experiments I had to do. So that burnout from grad school and feeling like I always had to like be somewhere at a specific time. Now I'm just like, man, I'm good. Like, I don't want to deal with like having to be or having to do something right at a specific time. But now I'm starting to realize like, okay, in order for me to be successful at all the things that I want to be successful, I have to be more consistent. Like I have to get back to those graduate school levels of consistency, not to the point where I'm killing myself, but just to the point where I'm consistently doing these, 3 or 4 things every day, or I'm making sure that this gets done every day, and I'm making sure that I log this, I'm making sure that I track this, like I'm making sure that I check in with somebody every day, and just holding me accountable, because I live by myself, and I don't really talk to a lot of people. Like, despite how I am online, I'm not introverted at all, but I don't have to deal with people on a daily basis. Like I don't have to be around people on a daily basis. Like I'm cool with just being in my crib, chilling my plants. Like I'm good with that. So when I am put in a situation where I have to like lean on somebody for something else, like I have to actually like physically call or like physically text and be like, hey, I need you to do this. It's not like I'm reaching out like right next to me and be like, hey, can you help me with this? Or hey, can you make sure that this gets done today? Like these are the things that I'm learning to I'm basically learning to ask for help more. I'm very much I'm going to do it myself because nobody's going to do it the way I want to do it or I want it done. So I just rather do it myself. And that shoots me in the foot a lot because I have a mountain of things that need to get done. And I'm trying to do it all myself. And I'm just like, maybe I should just like start outsourcing this. And like, what am I doing? And then, you get bogged down in that too much and it makes you just not want to do anything. So that's something that I'm really working on. I am terribly inconsistent. I'm fine with admitting that, because I know that's something I need to work on.
First step to recovery, man.
Yeah,
man.
You have to admit your problems.
For sure, because a lot of people, like I said, it's easy for people to see my flaws, right? It's not easy to see a lot of other people's flaws because they put their best foot forward on everything. I put the things that I'm improving at on everything. Like I put the things out there that I am not so good at. Like I don't talk about, oh yeah, I got this PhD. I wrote my dissertation in 5 months and, I know all this shit that everybody else doesn't know. It's like, okay, that's cool, but that's not what's going to define me as a person. What's going to define me as a person is the things that I overcome. So that's what I want people to see. I want people to see all of my flaws that I have so that when I do overcome, it gives them more incentive to do it. It's like, okay, wow, this guy did this, and this. Why can't I do it? Like you can actually see it in real time. So that's where I am.
And see, you said you're kind of introverted. You're not really introverted, but at home you're basically a hermit with your plants. We nailed that. But You said you are, we've all seen you active on Twitter. And before the podcast, I had put out some questions on, for people to ask their questions that they wanted you to answer on Twitter. The first one was real quick, Josiah Novak, and you even said you would answer this one. He wants to know what your favorite Post Malone song is.
All right, Josiah. So
He was on the podcast, by the way.
that's awesome. It's awesome. Glad to share the stage with him. White Iverson. White Iverson is my favorite Post Malone song. In fact, that is probably the only listenable Post Malone song. All the rest of them are bad. They're all bad except White Iverson. I will bang White Iverson all day. That is my favorite Post Malone song.
That's awesome.
I couldn't even
That's
name a Post Malone song.
That is
Good.
the only one I can name specifically because Tanei just named it. That's the only reason I can name it.
Like fucking,
But the next
Uncle Cracker's
question,
song,
the what?
Drift Away. It's like Drift Away by Uncle Cracker. It's like the only good song he ever made.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's not a good song.
Whatever, dude.
It's not.
Get out. What the hell are you
But,
talking about?
The other question comes from Ryan Stevens, and he asked you, what 3 to 5 products do people currently use in the U.S. every day that they should be more concerned about right now?
That's a good
And what are
question.
some suitable replacements?
Oh,
Now, you had already said finasteride.
Yeah,
So in addition to those, what are some other products that people need to be watching out for?
This is a good question. Soap. Most of the soap has
Stay dirty. Got it.
yes. Wash your ass with oils and water. That's it. You're good. Yeah, soap, because like a lot of the conventional soaps have parabens. Parabens are endocrine disruptors. There's xenoestrogens. A lot of them have fragrance, stuff like that. So soap, shampoo, deodorant, toothpaste, and cologne. So this is for guys. A lot of people don't know that like cologne. So I actually used to be a cologne connoisseur. Like I love buying new cologne. So man, I had all the new colognes. One of my favorite scents was Blue Day Chanel. Every time I put Blue Day Chanel on, I would always get compliments for it. I'm like, this is amazing. I love this stuff. What I found when I started doing more research about fragrance and like the term fragrance and the things that fall up under it, I was like, okay, if this stuff is really bad, I'm going to go for 2-3 weeks without wearing cologne. I'm going to put it back on and see what happens. I broke out in a rash. And I was like, this is probably bad. I probably shouldn't use this anymore. So a lot of this stuff just comes through simple experimentation. If you have an idea that something might be bad for you, stop using it for X amount of time, and then reintroduce it and see how your body reacts to it. A lot of times, we put poisonous things in our body, and our body is so used to it that it already has the detox mechanism in place, so that you don't experience as much discomfort as you normally would. But when you take that thing out, and then your body has a chance to push that system away and is reintroduced, more often than not, you're going to have some kind of adverse reaction to it if it's truly bad for you.
Right.
I'll give you an example. I did a candida cleanse about 2 weeks. That's about 3 weeks now. 3 weeks ago, and on the diet for like the first 3 days, you can't have any kind of sugar.
I remember this. You did this like juice cleanse at one point.
Yeah,
I was watching that. I was like, this dude's gonna die. Oh my God.
Why didn't I?
I know you're here. You're happy.
Never really got to talk to him, and now he's gonna die. I don't really know.
Like, what the fuck? That's why I didn't follow up, honestly, when we were setting this up. That's why I dropped the ball.
So
he was a good guy.
So I was doing it, and like I said, you can't have sugar. You can't have anything that has any kind of sugar in it for the first 3 days, which would kill the average person, because most of us are crackheads for like processed sugar and stuff like that. But I got through the first 3 days, and it was fine. And after I got through the full 10 days, I started noticing that I wasn't really craving like starches and like bread and shit like that anymore. Mm-hmm. So probably like a week after that, I had rice, and I felt so bloated. And I was just like, I didn't feel like this before. Like what's going on? And so I was like, there actually like really must be something wrong with like the way that the average person, like my body in particular, processes that stuff. Like it just creates a lot of inflammation, a lot of bloating and stuff like that. And I actually assume that happens with more people than not. And I think that if people actually went through that process, they would actually probably find the same thing too. So, I mean, because a lot of these things are just pesticide laden. You know, they're super engineered to be like super starchy now. And a lot of the food that we eat now is just not the same as it was back in the day. So, I mean, it's unfortunate because a lot of people just aren't aware of it. But yeah, those are kind of things that happen. But yeah, those 5 products.
I started using fluoride-free toothpaste because of some of your tweets.
Oh man, fluoride! Woo! And I really wish that fluoride,
it calcifies your pineal gland.
Yeah. And not only that, fluoride actually makes your bones more brittle too. So I don't know if anybody's ever noticed, but you know, a lot of players are starting to get, like, a lot of sports athletes, they're starting to get like worse and worse compound injuries, like as far as like bones breaking and stuff.
Yeah.
I remember when I was growing up and was watching sports, people weren't getting hurt like they are now. And
I think part of that too is just that like everyone's getting stronger and faster and more athletic, so there's
right.
no impact. But yeah, I get your point.
Right, and you know, it's just interesting to me that, you know, people's bone injuries would be so gruesome, and like you have so many more compound fractures and like fractures where people, you know, bones were coming out of their skin, and I'm just like, this is odd.
Like Anderson Silva's leg.
Yeah, it was just like, this is really odd. And so, you know, I kind of started looking around, doing more research, and that was when I found out that fluoride actually makes your bones brittle too. So like, what fluoride does is, so your bones are made, everybody knows that you need calcium for strong bones, but you don't know why. So the mineral compound that's in your bones is called calcium hydroxyapatite. What happens is fluoride displaces the hydroxyapatite ion inside of your bones, and it turns into calcium fluoride, and it makes calcium leak out of your bones. So it makes your bones more brittle. So on top of, you know, the things with your pineal gland is also a nephrotoxin, which means that it's toxic to your kidneys. So it decreases the ability for your kidneys to filter. It makes your bones brittle, and it actually doesn't really help your teeth that much. So it's like, you know, you're taking in this poison, because fluoride has no other biochemical relevance inside of your body for it to be used as a quote unquote supplement. So I don't understand why people's water is still being fluoridated, or people are still using fluoride or fluoridated toothpaste. And a lot of people, you know, I talk to some people, because people come at me periodically, especially when they're from the dentistry background, and they're like, oh, well, this fluoride's different from the stuff that's in the lab. I'm like, how, dumbass? It's the same thing. You got sodium fluoride in the dental fluoride and sodium fluoride in this bottle. Like, how is that different? It's the same thing. Only thing y'all change is the medium that it's in. That doesn't mean that the ion is different. The ion that's causing all the problems is the F- ion. Both of these produce F-. So there's no chemical difference between them. They are doing the same thing. Like, the dental fluoride is not all of a sudden healthier than the fluoride that's in your toothpaste. It's the same shit. Like, I don't get that. But then you see the indoctrination, and it's like, oh, well, I'm just gonna keep using it. All right, fine, keep using it. Like, don't fucking argue with me about it. Like, you wrong. I'm sorry. Like, I don't know what else to tell you, man.
I need that on a shirt with your name quoted below it. Just says, "How, dumbass." I want that on a shirt.
I'm sure we can make that happen.
Anytime someone starts to argue a chemistry point that's counter to what you said, I'm just gonna, "How, dumbass." It's gonna be fantastic.
I'm sure we can make that happen.
Matter of fact, that should be your tagline.
Should be the Twitter bio.
Look, I'm less abrasive. I'm less abrasive these days. I'll let somebody else handle that. I try not to ruffle too many feathers online, because, man, they'll report
What are you talking about? I've seen you burn so many people on Twitter.
Look, I'm a changed person.
I found Jesus. I live in the Bible Belt.
I done gave up that narcotic. I'm a changed man.
From last week, he's given up. and he's a completely changed man
Listen,
from
man.
last week, and today's
Listen.
Thursday.
Listen, yo, they report your
Something
account
good,
so
but-
quick on Twitter, man. Like, I can't have that. I don't need my account getting suspended because somebody didn't like what I said. So I try to chill out now. But yeah,
You've been
man.
suspended before, haven't you?
No, so I almost got suspended, but I didn't. I almost got suspended because Cam Hore Twitter tried to rat on me.
Oh yeah, that was
Yeah,
started, right?
Say again.
That was like when Goldman started that shit, didn't he?
No, so I said, all right, so there's this old Chris Rock stand-up. I think it was Bigger and Blacker, where he was like, I got one job, I got one job only, that's to keep my baby off the stripper pole. So I tweeted that out one day. It's like a joke. All these scores of people like, you think about your daughter like that? Why you think about your daughter sexual? I'm like, it's a joke. Like, what the fuck are y'all talking about? Like, I know y'all, like what is, like, when did Twitter become so sensitive? And then there was a chick that has her OnlyFans, bio in her account. And she's, randomly blowing some guy on Twitter as her pinned tweet. And I'm like, wait a minute. The last person I need a morality lecture from is a Cam whore with a dick in her mouth on the internet. I'm gonna need you to go somewhere else with that. Like, we're good on that. So that tweet got reported, and I woke up the next day, and my account had been temporarily suspended or temporarily locked. And I was just like, all right, this is not worth it. Like, I don't care what you do on the internet. I'm gonna just need you to leave me alone when I'm doing what I want to do on the internet.
Got to utilize that block button, man.
Man, you have to sometimes, because sometimes they'll put you in these little tweet decks or these little lists, and they'll have like 400 people sitting in there ready to report your account for something. It's like, man, it's not worth it, dog. It's just not worth it to rile up the SJW mob on Twitter anymore. It'll definitely affect your livelihood. And now with things kind of starting to take off, I'm like, no, I'm good on that. I'm good. So
That makes sense. When you left kind of the teaching and academic world, did you know like what you wanted to do next? Like you wanted to try and make money online, or did you just kind of stumble into it?
Oh man, I didn't know like what I was gonna do. There was a point where I was putting in. I was putting in probably like when I first graduated. Excuse me, I was putting in probably 50, 60 applications a day. I was going into like, job fairs, the whole nine, just trying to get an opportunity somewhere. And then after I left Clayton, I had already gotten that email marketing job. So that was kind of the next step for me. I was like, all right, well, let me try to get like some formal, quote unquote, formal marketing experience under my belt and just go from there. And I got laid off from there. And then that was when I was like, all right, well, let's just do it. let's do this online thing, see what happens. And that was really kind of how I just went full throttle with it. And at that point, I was just like, I'm getting so many signs that are pushing me to do this that I should just follow them and see what happens. And I mean, because like I said, when I first graduated, like I got ghosted. So every time I tell somebody the story, they just look at me like, wow. I got ghosted from 3 different job opportunities when I graduated. So the first one, it was a chemist position in Spartanburg. And Spartanburg, South Carolina. And so I went through an initial interview with the recruiter. Then I talked to the director of R&D. Then they wanted me to fill out a chemical profile with all of the compounds that I had made while I was in grad school, all the unique compounds I had made while I was in grad school. Then I had to do a psych eval. And then like they finally scheduled my on-site visit. This was after like 3 months. So after I do the psych eval, the next day they send me an email and they're like, well, we're going to wait until Q1 of next year to like revisit this job. But unfortunately, we're not going to bring it out for on-site. Like I've been wasting my time with this for like 2 months. So I'm like, all right, whatever.
This was for the job in Spartanburg. Spartanburg is 5 minutes from my house.
Yeah, this is for a job in Spartanburg.
I have no idea why they would think you were too crazy for Spartanburg.
Well, I thought
you might be the one that brings balance, and that
don't want balance.
So that was what made me really think like, okay, maybe they are just reevaluating this position because they didn't ask for a PhD, but the level of experience that they wanted was PhD level. So I'm like, all right, maybe they are just doing this. Like, whatever. I can't take this personally. Like, I'm not gonna worry about it. So then I got another call from a recruiter about a job at Georgia Power, working at the water plant, the hydroelectric plant. So I go in, she calls me. I go in and talk to her the same day. She's like, they're going to call you for a phone interview tomorrow. If they like you, they'll hire you on the spot. I'm like, thank God. Because at this point, this is October going into November. And, I've already been unemployed for about 3 months now. And, things are pretty shitty. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm just trying to be positive here. I was working at a grocery store, making $7.50 an hour at a grocery store with a PhD in chemistry. So I'm like, all right, well, things are gotta go up from here. So let's just keep going. So then I'm like, okay, let me see what's going on with this. I do the interview, and once they do the interview, they don't hire me. So I'm like, what's going on? So they're like, so the recruiter's like, oh, well, if you write them a thank you letter because they're scared that the job is too boring for you. And so I'm like, I don't give a damn about this job being boring. I need some money, girl. What you talking
Like that's my decision, not yours.
Exactly.
You're overqualified.
You're overqualified. I'm trying to work. Like, let's go. So that happened. So long story short, a couple weeks passed after that. She actually goes to get another job and never let me know that they didn't hire me for the position. So for like 2 weeks, I'm waiting to hear back about this. I never hear anything from her directly. It's from a completely different person. So I'm like, all right, well, that sucks. Whatever. Let me go on to the next one. So then there's another company out in Kennesaw that did detergent formulations. And so the CEO didn't want to hire me because I didn't have any direct experience in that, but the floor manager wanted to hire me. He was head R&D chemist. He wanted to hire me because he knew that he would basically be able to train me. That goes on for 3 weeks. Never hear anything else back from that. There was another job in Virginia. The first round of interviews goes well. They want to have me back for another interview. Never hear anything else back for them. So this was like a whole trip of this job, kind of jerking me around, and then the next job, and then the next job, and the whole entire time I'm working as a cashier, and I'm just like, all right, well, like something's gonna happen,
Myself.
And that's basically when I was like, all right, I gotta make something shake in the meantime. I can't feel sorry for myself. Like nobody else is feeling sorry for me, so I can't feel sorry for me.
That's good.
I'm gonna make it happen, and this is why we are where we are now, unemployable.
Yeah. So, do you feel like the idea that you had in your head of what it was going to be like to make money online and kind of dive into that world and that lifestyle matches up with the reality of it, like the everyday reality? Like, did your perception before you were doing it match up with what it's like today, where you're making? I think you said you had like a $10,000 month last month. I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously that probably matches up with, but like in the steps before, like did it match, or is it different in some way?
It's different. Like now it's a lot different because I used to think that you had to work really hard at online business to make money. No, you have to solve a really painful problem to make money. The things I was doing last year haven't, like from this year to last year, haven't changed. The problems that I'm solving have changed. And that's why the income has changed. So that's what I want people to really take away from this, is that it doesn't matter like how hard you work at online business. Like, yeah, you got to do some startup stuff at the beginning. Like everybody has to go through that. That's just like the cost of doing business. But how much you get paid depends on how big of a problem it is that you solve. Hair loss is a really big problem for a lot of people. I didn't know this. This is not something that I was interested in, but it was something that really affected a lot of people. And it's more painful for them than, law of attraction, trying to figure out how to manifest stuff with their life. Like that stuff is all good and well, but people ain't staying up at night thinking, oh man, I really want to manifest this car. Somebody say like, man, I got this date tomorrow. This girl can see my jacked up hairline. Like, how am I gonna fix this? You know, that's what people are staying up at night for.
Back of mine had a baby.
Exactly. Like that's what people are worried about. So if you're looking to get an online business and you want to make a sizable income for yourself, your income scales to the size of the problem that you solve. And if you want to make big money, you got to solve big problems.
That's good. I had that realization recently. I was like, because in my mind, it was always like, I always thought, you know, can this idea make money? How hard can I work to make this idea make money? And I forget what I was reading that helped me make the shift, but it was like, that doesn't matter. What matters is, are you solving a problem, and are you solving a very painful problem for people? Because if you are, then the money's going to follow. And if you work harder, then more money can follow. But the problem has to come first.
Right.
100%.
Exactly.
That was a tough shift for me because I just didn't ever think that way before.
Man, when you don't come for money, you don't think about money like that. Like, you know, because a lot of people, like the average millionaire is not born a millionaire. They have to work for it. A lot of people have this idea that all these millionaires are born with silver spoons in their mouth. That's just not true. A lot of the wealth that is in the country is self-made wealth. Like these people have grinded from the bottom, and they found a way to, you know, to consolidate their resources in that way, but they've also found painful problems to solve. Like people that are high income earners, they're solving painful problems. They're solving things that affect a lot of people on a daily basis, and something that people are gladly willing to exchange their money for. And you know, once you realize that you don't have to work hard to make a lot of money, like the world just opens up for you. You start finding things that you can be useful for, versus, you know, trying to scrape out all this time to push an idea forward that may or may not be good. I make the same, I spend the same amount of time doing stuff now online, probably less than I did last year. And I make like 4 times as much now online than I did last year, doing maybe less than the work. I mean, that's not to say I don't like put in a lot of work. I don't like put in a lot of stuff, but it's a different world out here, man. Y'all start solving some painful problems.
Right.
About that other shit later.
So have you automated the hair stuff at all, or is it still like an order comes in and you deal with them like manually?
That's like most of them I still deal with manually. I have a landing page for it, and like when I go to sleep at night, a lot of times I'll schedule tweets that have the landing page link in it, so that like you can just order directly from there. But I still like talking to people. Like I still, you know, like somebody comes on DMs like, hey, I want to know more. So I'll talk to them. I'll show them some other pictures that I don't have up on my social media pages, or I don't have up on Twitter. And I'll start showing them, you know, different things. And I'm like, hey, you know, like these are results that other guys are getting. You know, this is how much it is. You know, we can get started whenever you want to. Man, I like to close sales that way. But some people don't like closing sales that way. So that's why I have the landing page set up too. Right. And, you know, depending on how things go this month, I still have some other things that I want to test. But after that, I mean, it may be automation. A couple people have stepped to me about niche sites and affiliate marketing. So, I mean, there's a lot of potential for it. It's still growing, still in the infancy. So I'm excited to see where things go.
Yeah, it seems like as it grows and it gains more traction, you won't be able to do it. I mean, there's a cap to how many sales calls you can do, right? And how much manual work you can do on it. And if you want it to scale so that you're making $20,000, $30,000 a month passively on it, you got to automate to an extent.
Right. For sure. So yeah, no, that's definitely next steps. And I've already been thinking about, you know, putting a website together for it, but I want to get some more results first and see what happens. But yeah, no, I'm hopeful for it. I'm really optimistic for it.
That's awesome, man. Nick, what's the question I always forget that you always ask?
So you've kind of already touched on this, so we'll see. But I always like to ask, like, if there was one like paradigm shift you had, and I really is kind of what we just talked about, but like if there was one like philosophical thing that you could leave everybody with, it would be like good closing words for you.
Give us all your platitudes.
You have like the platitude to end all platitude.
The platitude to end all platitude. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. That's from John C. Maxwell. It's from this book called Good Leaders Ask Great Questions. That's a book I highly recommend to everybody. It really does change your mindset about, you know, thinking about how to be a leader and what the good qualities of leadership are. And how and really how you solve people's problems and how you put people in the best position to succeed. I think a lot of people don't play to people's strong suits enough, and that's why you get such high turnover in different companies, because the management doesn't care about people. But when you know what kind of resource you're working with, you know what makes people tick, then you can put them in the best position to succeed. But you can't know that about people until you actually take a genuine vested interest in who they are and what they want to accomplish. And that's the same thing in sales. It's the same thing in anything that you'll ever do. You can't know what makes somebody tick unless you genuinely care about what makes them tick, unless you ask genuine questions to figure out what they're struggling with, how you can be assistance to them. You're never going to get anywhere. And if you just step up, you're like, hey, I got this thing to sell you. Like, people don't care about that. Like, people don't care about, what you're trying to stick in their face to sell them. They care about whether or not you can help them. And they don't care about how much you know until you've shown, everybody likes to say skin in the game, until you show some kind of skin in their game in their life. Like, if you don't show that you are genuinely interested in what's going on in their life, you're never going to get them on board with you to where you create a loyal following, or you create a loyal fan base, you create a loyal pipeline of customers. Like, you're never going to figure out those things. You're never going to get those things unless you genuinely care about the people that you're serving. You have to be service oriented first, or else everything else that you're going to do is fail. Like, you have to love serving people in order to be a good salesman, and in order to be somebody that is going to be rich or going to be wealthy, that's going to be self-made. It's not passed down to them.
Yeah, dude. That reminds me of two different things that I've heard. One was pretty recent. It was like, for sales and for game, and really for relationships in general, it's better to be interested than to be interesting.
Right.
And then another thing goes back to, I want to say Miyamoto Musashi, who said, like, the best carpenters use every type of wood. It's like the strong but knotted wood goes in the walls. The beautiful but maybe weaker wood is like decoration and trim. The knotted, the ugly wood that's not very strong either, you use that as scaffolding to build it. And so it's like and it's the same thing with companies, right? Where, like, you put the right people in the right spots, right? You don't put the introvert on the sales floor. You put the introvert in front of a computer in the back, making sure that the sales people don't have to worry about something,
Right.
So I like that a lot. So cool, man. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
This is great. You went on some good tangents, man.
Look, like I said, I'm not really an introvert. Like, I am an extrovert. I love to talk. I love to talk to people, and if anybody can get something good out of my story, man, I'm all for telling it. Like,
I love it.
You can get value out of it, so I'm down for that.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing, and thanks so much for coming on. If people want to find you online and what you're working on, where do you want them to go?
The best place to find me is on Twitter. You can find me on Twitter at TJRicks _TSP. You can also find me at TaneiTheScienceGuy.com, TaneiTheScienceGuy.com. If you are a pre-professional student that is struggling with organic chemistry, or if you are a parent of a student that is struggling with organic chemistry, you can check out hackorganicchemistry.com. I'll have a lot of content up there dealing with how you slay the OChem beast. And if you need help regrowing your hair, if your hairline is raggedy, if it look like two raccoons been fighting over a grape on top of your scalp, you can hit me up. You can hit me up in the DMs, or you can go, I can't remember the bit.ly link right now, but just hit me up. Like, if you have any questions about trying to regrow your hair, you can email me actually on info@TaneiTheScienceGuy.com. I'll get you right there, or you can DM me on Twitter. You can also find me on Instagram. I'm trying to get a little bit more active on Instagram. I'm Tanei_the_science_guy on Instagram. And yeah, that's where you can find me.
That's awesome.
Everywhere. I love it.
Cool. Well, thanks so much for coming on, man.
Appreciate you guys. Thank y'all for having me on.
All right, man.
Take it easy.
Become unemployable.